I never thought I'd be writing something like this, but here I am trying to make sense of what I uncovered. My name's Mike, and I've been with Lisa for about 5 years now. We met in college, hit it off pretty quickly, and for the most part, I thought we had a good thing going. She's smart, beautiful, and she used to be pretty sweet. But lately, things started to feel off. We'd argue more often. She was more bitchy than usual, snapping at me over small stuff like I'd never seen before. I'd ask her what was wrong, and she'd dismiss me with a snarky comment or change the subject entirely. Honestly, I didn't have a concrete reason to suspect anything at first. It's just that the vibe between us was shifting. She'd spend more time on her phone, always with the screen turned away from me, and she'd get defensive if I tried to look at her messages. She'd say I was paranoid or insecure, that she was just tired or stressed. But I knew her and I saw the little lies she'd tell, the way she'd dodge questions, even the way her voice would crack when she was lying. Something was definitely wrong, but I couldn't put my finger on it. Then, a week ago, I decided to look into something I'd heard about, this new tech they're testing for criminal rehab. It's called remote neural monitoring, and apparently it can read brain activity patterns, see when someone's lying or feeling emotions they aren't supposed to. I'd heard that it's being used on people going through certain programs to track their mental state, make sure they're not hiding anything or slipping back into old habits. I didn't believe it at first. It sounded like something out of a sci-fi movie. But then I got my hands on the logs. I'd been part of a criminal rehabilitation program myself, and I signed up for the brain activity monitoring as part of it. I figured if I was going to do this, I might as well check on Lisa, considering how strange she'd been acting. I wasn't expecting much, honestly, just a little reassurance that she was still loyal or whatever. But what I saw changed everything. Her brain activity logs showed something I couldn't ignore: emotional patterns, moments when her activity spiked in ways that indicated she was feeling something intense when she was with someone else, someone she was supposed to be far away from. The logs showed her reacting to a certain technician during her therapy sessions, someone I'd never heard of before, but who was working on her remotely. There were clear, undeniable signals of emotional attachment. Her brain responded differently when she was with him than when she was alone or with me. The tech was supposed to be strictly professional, but her brain was telling a different story. It was like a secret code she couldn't help but reveal through her own involuntary responses. I saw the logs myself. There are patterns, spikes of emotion, happiness, excitement, even longing when she's in contact with him. That's when I realized she was cheating on me, and it wasn't just physical. She was cheating emotionally, and the brain activity logs proved it before I even had a chance to confront her. I felt numb for a while after I saw it. I had a sinking, cold feeling that I'd been played. She'd lied to my face about everything, saying she was working late, going out with friends, whatever excuses she could muster. But it was all bullshit. She was hiding this affair, and now I had the proof. I couldn't unsee what I'd seen. That moment when I looked at her brain data, it was like a switch flipped. I could see the truth in her own mind, and it stung worse than any punch. The betrayal wasn't just physical anymore. Her mind betrayed her. I confronted her that night. I brought her into the living room, showed her the logs. Her eyes widened when she saw what I had, and she started to lie faster than I had ever heard her lie before. "It's not what you think," she said. "That's just a technician helping with my therapy. It's all professional. You're overreacting. You're crazy if you think I'd cheat on you. I don't even care about this stupid tech. They're just helping me get better. You're paranoid, Mike." But I knew better. I saw her face twitch, the way her eyes darted, her voice trembling. She was trying to deny, but the logs didn't lie. Her brain betrayed her, and I'd seen enough. The emotional impact hit me hard. I'd always thought marriage was about trust, about honesty. And now I was staring at evidence that she'd been hiding this affair right under my nose in her own mind. I wasn't just angry. I felt hurt, crushed, like I'd been punched in the gut. How could she treat me like this? How could she lie so blatantly? The woman I'd loved, the woman I thought I knew, was out there with someone else, emotionally entangled, while I was sitting here completely oblivious. The pain was sharp and persistent, and for the first time, I wondered if I even knew who she really was. It crushed me that she could lie so convincingly, even to herself, and that her brain had betrayed her secrets so plainly. I spent the next few days trying to process everything. I didn't sleep much. I kept looking at the logs, trying to understand how she could do this. I felt like a fool. All the signs were there: her sneaky phone habits, her bitchy attitude, the way she dodged my questions. But I'd never suspected the depth of her infidelity. Her emotional cheating with that tech, hiding her true feelings, that was the worst part. I'd always believed in honesty, in loyalty. Now that belief was shattered. I'm still trying to figure out what to do next, but one thing's clear. I can't unsee what I saw. I can't pretend I don't know anymore. She's been lying to me, and her mind has been sending signals that are impossible to ignore. The more I looked into the logs, the clearer it became that her emotional connection with that tech guy was real, beyond just therapy, beyond just professional boundaries. I could see the moments when her brain lit up with genuine feelings, like she couldn't help herself. It's like her mind was revealing her secret and I was the only one who saw it. I kept asking myself, how deep does this go? Was she ever really faithful, or was this just the tip of the iceberg? The fact that her brain activity showed such strong emotional reactions when she was with him, spiking with happiness, longing, even a little thrill, made me realize she'd been lying to my face all along. I knew I had to confront her again, but this time I had a plan. I wanted her to admit everything, to see just how much her mind had betrayed her. I set up a serious talk for the next night. She was supposed to come home late, and I told her I had something important to discuss. When she finally walked in, I didn't even waste time beating around the bush. I laid out the logs in front of her, watched her face drain of color as she realized I wasn't bluffing. "You lied to me," I said. "About everything. About your therapy, about your late nights, about the tech. I saw the logs. You're emotionally cheating on me, Lisa. Don't even try to deny it. You're attached to this guy, aren't you? You're feeling something for him that you're not feeling for me." Her eyes widened, her mouth opening and closing like she was trying to come up with a response, but nothing came. She looked like a trapped animal. Then she started to spin her usual lies. "It's not what you think," she said, voice trembling. "It's just a distraction. I'm just trying to get better, that's all. You're blowing this out of proportion." But I wasn't buying it. I'd seen her brain, her own subconscious, revealing what she couldn't control. That was the truth she desperately wanted to hide. The shock was overwhelming. I felt my stomach twist. I had always tried to give her the benefit of the doubt, to believe she was faithful and loyal. But now it was undeniable. Her emotional affair with that technician was more than just a fling. It was a symbol of her disconnect from me. I was angry, yes, but mostly I felt betrayed. I'd always tried to be a good husband, supportive, caring. And she'd been sneaking around, hiding her feelings behind lies, hiding her emotional intimacy with someone else. It made me question everything about our relationship. After the confrontation, she went into full denial mode. "You're overreacting," she snapped, trying to dismiss the logs. "You don't understand how therapy works. This isn't cheating, it's just a part of my recovery. You're jealous, insecure, and now you're just making trouble." I couldn't believe her. She was spinning a web of lies, trying to convince me that her feelings weren't real, that her brain activity was just some kind of glitch. But I knew better. Her brain betrayed her, yes, but it also betrayed me, and that hurt so much more than I thought possible. I went to bed that night feeling numb, like I'd been kicked in the chest. I kept replaying the things I saw in the logs, the way her emotional patterns matched with feelings she'd never admitted to, the way her brain lit up with happiness when she was with him. It's like I'd been living in a fog, and now everything was crystal clear. I didn't sleep at all that night. Instead, I lay there, staring at the ceiling, trying to process what I'd learned. How could she lie so convincingly? How could her own mind be so unfaithful? I kept asking myself if I should believe her excuses, if I should even give her a chance to explain herself. But deep down, I knew I was done. The next day, I decided I needed to get some answers, real, honest answers. I started digging into her phone, her emails, anything I could get my hands on. I wanted to see if there was more than just the logs, more evidence, more proof of her emotional affair. I found messages from the technician, exchanged while she was supposedly working late, and I swear, The tone was more than just professional. It was intimate, flirty. Some of the messages were downright suggestive, even if they never explicitly said sex. I could see the way she responded, the little smiles she sent, the way she signed off with cute nicknames. It was obvious how much she was into him. That's when I finally felt the full weight of everything crashing down. I'd married a woman I thought I knew, someone loyal, someone I could trust. But all along, she was hiding this secret life. She was emotionally cheating on me during my own rehabilitation while I was trying to better myself. I kept asking myself, why? Why betray me like this? What did I do wrong? The hurt was so raw I could barely sit still. I felt rage boiling inside, but also a deep sadness. It was like my whole world was collapsing and I had no idea where to go from here. The one thing I knew, I wasn't going to sit still while she kept lying. I was going to figure out what to do next, and whatever that was, it wouldn't involve letting her get away with this. After I found the messages and saw the real extent of her emotional connection with this technician, I knew I had to act fast. Sitting around and just stewing in my anger wasn't going to help me figure out what to do. I started planning my next move carefully, trying to stay calm even as everything inside me was a jumble of betrayal and hurt. I didn't want to do anything impulsive, at least not yet. I needed to gather my thoughts, maybe even gather more evidence, just to be sure I wasn't jumping the gun. The thing that gnawed at me the most was how she kept lying, how she was so quick to dismiss everything I'd shown her. She insisted that the logs were misinterpreted, that it was all just part of her therapy, that I was paranoiding. But I knew better now. Her brain betrayed her, sure, but her lips were still lying. The emotional signals I saw weren't just accidental, they were real and they meant something. I had to confront her again, but I needed a plan. I wanted her to admit everything, all her lies, all her feelings for him, without any way to deny it. So I set up a little trap the next evening. I told her I needed to talk about us, about our future. She was annoyed, of course, and she tried to brush me off, saying she was busy. But I made sure she knew this was serious. When she finally sat down, I pulled out some printed logs from my device, screenshots of her brain activity patterns, the messages from the technician, the timestamps that matched her therapy sessions. She looked stunned at first, then furious. "Look at this," I said, voice steady but cold. "Your brain doesn't lie, Lisa. It's been feeling something for this guy, you already admitted that much. So tell me what's really going on. Are you in love with him? Did you actually have sex with him? Or is this just some emotional affair you're trying to hide?" Her face turned red with anger and frustration. "Stop accusing me of this crap," she snapped. "You think I'd cheat on you? You're crazy if you believe that. It's just emotional and it's not a big deal. I swear I love you, Mike. You're the only one I care about. This technician is just helping me with my recovery. You're paranoid and you're messing things up." I could see her trying to spin her lies. Again, trying to convince herself more than me, but her eyes kept darting away, her voice cracking. I wasn't buying it anymore. I told her I saw her brain, I saw her feelings. Her own mind was betraying her, and she couldn't hide from that anymore. That's when she started crying, but it wasn't the crying of someone remorseful. No, it was the crying of someone caught, someone trying to cling to her lies even as she knew she couldn't deny what I had seen. I felt my stomach tighten. The pain of betrayal was sharp, but what cut deeper was the realization that she'd been lying for so long. I'd always trusted her, believed her, and she'd been playing me for a fool. That moment, I thought about all the times she snapped at me over small things, all the little lies she told. Was that just her way of hiding the bigger lies? The emotional affair, the physical one. I didn't want to admit it, but part of me was starting to see her in a different light. She wasn't just a wife who cheated. She was someone who'd been living a double life, hiding her feelings and her actions behind a mask of hostility and lies. I told her she needed to leave, not just for tonight, but for good. I couldn't stay in a relationship built on deception. She begged, of course. Said she was sorry, that she loved me, that she didn't mean for any of this to happen. But her words sounded hollow now, like a rehearsed script. I didn't believe her. I told her the only way I could move forward was if she left and didn't come back until she could be honest with herself, with me, and with what she really felt. She tried to convince me to change my mind, to give her a second chance, but I knew better. Her brain had betrayed her once. I didn't trust her anymore. Not entirely. Not after what I'd seen. That night I stayed awake, staring at the empty space where she'd been sleeping. I kept thinking about how her mind had betrayed her, revealing her secret feelings like a flashing neon sign. It made me realize just how fragile trust really is, and how dangerous it can be when someone's truths are hidden behind lies and emotional illusions. I knew I'd have to face a long road ahead, whether to rebuild myself or move on. But what's clear is that I can't ignore what I now know. The betrayal runs deep, and I don't see how we come back from this without some serious work, if at all. For now, I just want to make sure I protect myself and figure out what my next step should be. The days that followed were a blur of confusion, anger, and an odd sense of clarity I hadn't expected. I had packed her bags and told her to leave, but honestly, it felt like I was going through the motions more than anything. Inside, I was drowning in a mixture of betrayal and questions I didn't have answers to. I kept replaying those logs, the conversations, her reactions, everything that led me to this point. It was almost as if her mind had turned into a traitor, exposing her feelings without her even realizing it. And that realization hit me hard. Her emotional cheating, her lying about her feelings, all laid bare by something I'd never even heard of before, this brain activity monitoring. I couldn't help but wonder how I'd missed the signs. She'd always been bitchy, sure. But I thought that was just her personality, stress, work, or whatever. I thought her occasional sneaky behavior was just her being a typical manipulative wife. But now I saw it was something deeper. Her brain had betrayed her, not just to me but to herself. It made me question everything about us. How much of her affection was real, if at all? Could I even trust her again? Or had her mind been subtly pulling her toward someone else all along? The more I thought about it, the more I felt this overwhelming need to understand what had driven her to this point. Was it me? Did I screw something up? Or was she just inherently craving excitement, craving someone who could give her what I could? The answer didn't matter as much as the fact that she'd been hiding this for so long, and her emotional connection with that technician was more than just a flirtation. It was something that had taken root deep inside her mind. I saw the signs, and it made me feel like a fool for not catching on sooner. But I also knew I couldn't keep living with this weight on my shoulders. I had to decide whether I was going to fight for whatever was left or just cut my losses. Part of me wanted to confront her again, but I also knew that she'd lied so much she'd probably keep doing it. I had evidence now, hard, undeniable proof of her emotional affair, and I wasn't about to let her manipulate her way out of it again. I sat there, staring at the logs, trying to piece everything together, wondering if I could forgive her or if I should just walk away for good. The thing that kept hammering at me was her reaction. She tried to deny everything, even when her own brain had given her away. Her tears, her pleas, they all felt empty now. I realized that her emotional betrayal wasn't just about some secret affair. It was about her losing herself. Her mind had become a battleground, torn between what she was feeling and what she wanted to hide. That's why she lied so convincingly, why she snapped at me, why she tried to gaslight me into thinking I was crazy. Her brain betrayed her, her emotions betrayed her, and in a way I felt betrayed by her own mind. I started to think about what I wanted for myself. I'd always been the supportive type, trying to fix things, trying to make her happy. But now I saw that some things can't be fixed with words or promises. They're rooted deep in the subconscious, in the hidden layers of the mind. I realized that trust is fragile, and once broken, it's almost impossible to fully rebuild. Still, I wasn't ready to give up entirely. I decided I'd give myself some space, time to breathe, to think, to figure out what I really wanted. That weekend, I took a long walk in the park, trying to clear my head. I kept thinking about her face when I showed her the logs, how she tried to lie her way out of it, how her emotions betrayed her even as she desperately tried to suppress them. It was a harsh lesson in how our minds can deceive us, whether we realize it or not. I wondered how many other lies I'd been blind to all these years, how many moments I'd missed because I was too trusting. Now I knew better. The truth had been there all along, hidden in her brain, waiting to be uncovered. I also started to think about what to do next. Should I try to save this marriage? Or was it already beyond repair? Could I ever trust her again after what I saw? Maybe she needed more help than just my anger or disappointment. Maybe she needed therapy herself, something to help her face her subconscious and understand why she felt compelled to connect with that technician emotionally. But could I wait that long? Could I even stay in a relationship built on lies and betrayals? All these questions spun around my head as I watched people pass by, oblivious to the pain I was carrying inside. At the end of the day, I realized I had a choice. I could try to forgive her, work through this, and see if our love was strong enough to survive. Or I could cut ties and start anew. Part of me still loved her deep down. I always believed in giving people second chances. But another part, the part that had seen her true emotional truth laid bare by her own brain, was skeptical. If her mind had betrayed her so blatantly, could I really trust her again? Or was I fooling myself, hoping for something that was already gone? That's where I'm stuck now, trying to figure out whether I should fight to fix what might be broken beyond repair or walk away before I get even more hurt. Either way, I know I won't forget what I saw, her mind revealing her secret, and the pain that came with it. The decision loomed over me like a dark cloud. I spent days oscillating between anger, sadness, and this strange numbness. Part of me wanted to storm back into her place, demand more answers, and maybe even try to force her to see the truth. But another part of me knew that wasn't the way forward. I realized I was at a crossroads, whether to fight for what we had or accept that the damage might be irreversible. I kept coming back to the logs, the undeniable proof of her emotional affair, all laid out in stark reality. Her brain had betrayed her, yes, but that made me wonder, was she even fully in control of her feelings anymore? Had her subconscious already made up her mind long before I discovered the truth? I knew I needed space to think, so I booked a trip out of town for a few days. Just me, no distractions, no lies. I wanted to get away from the constant pain and try to see everything more clearly. During those days, I kept replaying everything. The moments she was bitchy for no reason, the sneaky texts, the logs, her frantic denial when confronted. I thought about all the times I'd been patient, trying to understand her mood swings, trying to fix things, all the while not realizing how deeply she was emotionally connected elsewhere. It was during that trip that I had a revelation. I realized that her mind had become like a battlefield, torn between her true feelings and her attempts to hide them, that her subconscious had betrayed her, revealing her emotional affair in ways she couldn't control. And that realization made me question whether she was even capable of full honesty anymore. Was she hiding more than I knew? Had that technician not just been a pawn in her emotional life, but maybe part of a bigger pattern I'd missed? The more I thought about it, the more I understood that trust isn't just about promises or words. It's about knowing what's buried deep inside someone, what their subconscious reveals about who they truly are. I also started to consider what I wanted more than anything. Was I willing to rebuild this, to forgive her and move past it? Or was I already done? The love was still there, I won't deny it. I loved her, I still cared, but love can't fix everything, especially when the foundation is cracked beyond repair. I realized that the key to moving forward was honesty, real honesty from her, not just quick apologies or promises to change. I needed her to face her own mind, to understand why she connected with that technician emotionally, and whether she truly wanted to fix what she had broken. When I came back home, I knew I couldn't keep pretending everything was okay. I sat her down again, not with accusations this time, but with a calm but firm desire for clarity. I told her I'd seen the logs, I'd seen her feelings laid bare. I asked her if she was willing to confront her own subconscious and be honest about what she really wanted. I told her I loved her but that I couldn't keep living in denial, not anymore. If she truly wanted to save this marriage, she'd have to be honest with herself and with me. No more lies, no more hiding behind excuses. She looked at me, tears in her eyes again, but this time there was a flicker of something different, maybe remorse, maybe understanding. She finally admitted that she'd been feeling lost, that she'd been craving something she couldn't explain, and that her feelings for that technician had grown beyond her control. She claimed she didn't want to hurt me, but that her subconscious had already gone too far. It was a shocking moment because, for the first time, she was actually admitting the truth, at least partially. Whether I believed her fully was another matter, but I knew I had to hear her out if I was to decide my next step. I told her I needed some time to think. I told her she had to decide whether she wanted to work on herself, on us, or just accept that we might be done. I couldn't force her into anything, but I could no longer pretend that everything was fine. The pain of her emotional betrayal still burned inside, but I also felt a strange relief. At least I finally had the truth, raw and unfiltered. I knew that, moving forward, trust would be the biggest challenge. Whether I could rebuild it or not depended on her willingness to face her own mind, to understand what led her here, and whether she was committed to being honest from now on. That night, I lay awake thinking about all this. It's strange how the mind can betray itself, how feelings can hide behind layers of lies and denial, only to be exposed by something as cold and unyielding as her brain activity logs. It's made me realize that sometimes the truth is buried deep inside us, hidden even from ourselves until something reveals it. And whether that truth destroys us or sets us free depends on how willing we are to face it. For me, I'm still undecided. But one thing's clear: I can't keep living in the dark, not after seeing what her subconscious has revealed. The healing process might be long, but at least I now know what I'm truly dealing with. In the days that followed that honest confrontation, I kept circling back to everything I'd discovered: the logs, her words, her tears. I realized that forgiveness isn't just about saying, "I forgive you," but about truly understanding what happened and deciding if I could accept it. Honestly, I wasn't sure I could. The betrayal, especially when it was rooted in her subconscious, felt deeper than just infidelity. It was like her mind had crossed a line I never knew existed, revealing parts of her I'd never even suspected. Seeing her emotional connection with that technician laid bare in her own brain was a brutal lesson in how complex and fragile trust really is. I went through a lot of mixed feelings: anger, sadness, disappointment, sometimes all at once. But underneath it all, there was this strange sense of clarity. I finally understood that her emotional betrayal wasn't just about the moments she spent with that guy. It was about her losing herself, her inability to be honest with herself and with me. I also understood that her lying, her bitchy attitude, her sneaky behaviors, they all stemmed from a deeper place, from her subconscious conflict. And I couldn't fix that myself. She had to want to face her own mind, to really work through whatever was causing her to disconnect from reality. One thing I know for sure is that I can't stay in a relationship where my trust is shattered like this. It's not fair to either of us. I didn't want to just walk away feeling bitter. I wanted to leave with some dignity, some understanding. So I told her to take time for herself, to figure out what she really wanted and to get some help if she needed it. For me, I decided that I had to focus on healing, even if that meant being alone for a while. I've always believed that honesty is the foundation of any relationship, and if she truly wanted to rebuild what we had, she'd have to start with complete honesty and self-awareness. The hardest part has been accepting that her mind, which I once thought was something I could trust, betrayed her in ways I never imagined. Her subconscious feelings, her hidden emotions, they all came rushing out like a flood. I realize now that sometimes people hide what they truly feel, even from themselves. And no matter how much love you have, you can't force someone to face their own inner demons. It's a painful truth, but it's also a lesson in acceptance. As I write this, I feel an odd sense of peace mixed with sadness. I've learned that betrayal is not always about a single act or a physical affair. Sometimes, it's about the unseen fissures inside a person's mind, cracks that ultimately break trust beyond repair. I've had to come to terms with what I saw in her brain, what it revealed about her true feelings, and whether I could live with that truth. I've chosen to step back, to let her do the work she needs to do, and to prioritize my own emotional health. I don't know what the future holds. Maybe she will change, maybe she won't. Maybe we'll find a way back to each other, or maybe we won't. But what I do know is that I've gained something valuable, an understanding that sometimes the deepest betrayals come from within, from parts of ourselves we'd rather not face. And that, no matter how much you love someone, you can't fix what's broken inside if they're not willing to do the same. I've learned that I deserve honesty, respect, and a relationship built on trust, something I now realize I might have taken for granted too long. Moving forward, I will carry the lessons from this experience, lessons about the mind, about betrayal, and about the courage it takes to face the truth, no matter how painful.